Okay, this is for page 242, number 1 through 28, from last Thursday, I believe. So, we're talking about slope on this lesson, and slope is a way to measure the rise and the run of a line. How fast is it going up? How fast is it going over? So, I'm going to put that over here. Slope is a ratio that measures rise to run. It kind of tells you how steep the line is. Alright, we'll leave that thing for now. So, let's see here. For example, let's say I have a line that's going through these 2 points on the graph. Okay, to find the slope of the line, we need to figure out between those 2 points, what's the rise and what's the run. How much is it to get from here to here? How much do you have to go up and how much do you have to go over? So if I went up, I'd have to go up 1 floor and then I'd have to walk over 2. So the rise is 1 and the run is 2. So the slope is 1 over 2 or 1/2. For some reason we use m to represent the slope. That's just whoever chose it, that's what letter they chose. So that would be a slope of 1/2. How about this line? What if I go from here to here? Okay, so from this point to this point, what is the rise? Well, the rise, if I go here to here, that's more like a fall. So the rise is actually 1, 2, 2, -3, and the run is 1, 2, 2. So the slope for the red line would be -3/2. Okay. So notice on this blue one, the slope is a small number, 1/2, and the line is not very steep because you're not rising very much compared to how much you're running. On the red line, it's like -1.5 basically, and the line is steeper, okay, because you're rising relatively fast compared to how far you're running. So anyway, the bigger the number is, the steeper the line's going to be. Let's see. Well, what if I counted backwards? If I went up and then backwards. Well, if I go up, it would be up 3, and if I went backwards, it would be backwards 2, like a -2. So the slope, the rise would still be 3, the run would be -2, but a positive divided by negative is still a negative. So it doesn't really change anything. It's still -3/2. If one of the numbers is negative, the whole thing is negative. If both of the numbers were negative, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So, yeah, one negative makes a negative, 2 negatives makes a positive. So, okay. So basically what we just learned is, well, let me go back. When the line is going up from left to right, you know how we read from left to right? We read this way. So imagine if you're on a vehicle, you're driving along, and then you go up the blue hill. Okay, that slope was positive. But if you're driving along in a vehicle and you go down the red hill, that slope is negative. Okay, so lines that are going up from left to right are will have a positive slope every time. Lines that are going down will have a negative slope every time. So what about a line that is completely flat? Well, that would be between a positive and a negative slope, if it's in the middle. So we would say the slope of this line is 0. So horizontal lines have a 0 slope. Okay, the other weird one is, what if I have a vertical line? Well, if I choose a couple points on this line, what's the rise from here to here? That would be 2. What's the run from here to here? That would be 0. 2 divided by 0 doesn't work. If you plug that in your calculator, it'll say error. So this doesn't make sense. So what we say for this one is it has an undefined slope. Let's try it up here. Slope is undefined. Okay, 0 slope, undefined slope. This one's kind of like a wall, so it doesn't really have a slope at all. It's not a slope. So, okay, I'm going to jump in. We're going to do some odds here. Number 1 on page 242 says which lines have a negative slope. So you got, if you look up above those blue and green, there's 6 blue and green lines. Which of those have negative slopes? Well, we kind of just talked about it. A negative slope is like this red line. It should be falling from left to right. So if you look in your book, it should be A, that's a negative slope, and D. A and D are both going down from left to right. So the answer to 1 is A and D. Number 3, which lines have a slope of 0? Okay, so we just talked about this. A line with a 0 slope is a horizontal line. So which letter would that be? Looks like E. So number 3 is E. Okay, number 5 says which line has the slope with the greatest absolute value. So absolute value makes it positive. So it doesn't matter if it's a negative or if it's a positive slope. They're basically asking which slope would have the highest value. Okay, and the slopes with the steepest lines are going to have the highest value. So it might look like this, really steep. Might look like this, really steep. It can't be vertical because that would be no slope at all. That's undefined slope. But the steepest line. So what's the steepest line on those 6? It looks like D again. D is pretty steep. Number 6, that's an even, but I'll just mention it. It says which slope has the least absolute value, non-zero, meaning you can't choose the horizontal line because that has a 0 slope. So you got to choose the shallowest line. That will have a small value for a slope. Okay, number 7. Okay, we're supposed to find the slope of the line, kind of like I did on my examples here. You got to find the slope on number 7. So the first thing you can do, and that's okay if you draw with pencil in your book on these problems, you need to locate 2 points that are on that line that are easy to identify. So when I look at number 7, I see a point at 0, 1. And it looks like there's also a point where, let's see, negative 3, 3. Or 4, negative 1. Okay, I'll use negative 3, 3. Okay, so the line looks something like this. But we need to find the slope between these 2 points. So the slope is what's the rise over what's the run. So how much do you have to rise from here to here? Well, your rise is actually a fall of negative 2. And what's the run from here to here? The run is 1, 2, 3, 3. So the slope is rise over run, negative 2 over 3. Now you could write it like that, negative 2/3, or you could just write negative 2/3 with the negative in the middle. They're the same thing. It doesn't matter where the negative goes. Since the line is falling, it should be a negative slope. We know that before we even find it, but anyway, that would be number 7. Number 9. Okay, I see a point at 0, 0 right there, and I see, let's let's see where else. 3, 1 looks like. Right there. -3, -1. Okay, so from here to here, what's the rise? 1. Go up 1 floor. What's the run? 1, 2, 3. So what's the slope? 1/3. Alright, that's number 9. Number 11. Not a lot to talk about here. 11 is just a vertical line over here, I guess. What was the slope for vertical lines? Just from memory, it's undefined slope. So 11 would just be undefined. All right. You don't have to draw those lines. It's drawn in the book, but okay. Number 13. All right, this is new. They give us 2 points that the line is supposed to go through, and we're supposed to say what the slope is. You don't have to draw the line. There's an easier way to do this. You do not have to make a drawing and count. Basically, the rise of the line, how much it's going up and down, is the change in the y values. The y tells you up and down. And the run of the line, how far it's going over, is the difference. This is the change in the x values. So this little formula is called the slope formula. It'll help us find the slope if they give us some coordinates. Yeah, without the drawing. So it's the difference in the y's over the difference in the x's. The little, I don't know if you can see that. I put a little 2 and a little 1. That just means the second y value, the first y value, the second x value, the first x value. So on number 13 it says 2, 5, and 3, 9. So 2, 5, you can think of that as x1, y1, and this would be x2, y2. The first x and y, the second x and y. Okay, so what you have to do is subtract the y's over subtract the x's. So if I subtract the y's, it'd be 9 minus 5, that goes on top. That's usually where people get it wrong. They put 3 minus 2 on top. That would be wrong. So it's 9 minus 5 over 3 minus 2. 9 minus 5 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1. And 4 over 1 is just 4. So the slope of that line is 4. Okay, so you don't need a drawing, just do that. What do you think would have happened if I would have subtracted the first y minus the second y and the first x minus the second x? Let's try that. Let's move this stuff down. Yeah, that didn't quite work. Alright, so if I go, instead of 9 minus 5, what if I do 5 minus 9? And instead of 3 minus 2, what if I do 2 minus 3? 5 minus 9, 2 minus 3, negative 4 divided by negative 1 is positive 4. Negative divided by negative is positive. So we still got the same answer. I didn't change anything. The only thing you need to watch out for is if you go this way with your y values, you need to go that way with your x values, or vice versa. You just need to go in the same direction on both of them. Okay, so anyway, number 13 is 4. Number 15. So same thing, 2, 7, 3, 7. So what do we do first? Put the y's on top. That would be the 7. So it's 7 minus 7 over 2 minus 3. 0 divided by anything is 0. So if we were to draw this, it should be a horizontal line, but we're not going to draw it. That slope is 0. So just to remind you again, if we were to get something like -1 over 0, if 0 is on the bottom, that's an area that doesn't work, so that would have been an undefined slope. All right, 17. Okay, I'll just start plugging in. What goes on top? 6 minus -1, which is really 6 plus 1, right? We could have just wrote that over 3 minus -4. It's really 3 plus 4. So 6 plus 1 is 7. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 over 7 is 1. If you can simplify the fraction, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. You need to do that. Okay, 19, same thing. So 7 minus -3, which is 7 plus 3, over 5 minus 1. 7 plus 3 is 10. 5 minus 1 is 4. Divide both of those by 2. Okay, simplify doesn't mean change it to a mix. We actually want to keep it improper if it is, but reducing means divide both those by 2, not change it to a mixed number. Alright, 21. Okay, 7 minus 2 over -1 minus -1. 7 minus 2, it's basically -1 plus 1, which is 0. Anything divided by 0 doesn't work, so this is undefined. Okay, 23, this will be our last of these. Same thing, it's just a decimal. This would be a good one for a calculator. I'm going to do, okay, -2.5 minus 4.5. All right. And 4.75 minus 2.75 minus 7.25. Okay, the top would be -7. The bottom, let's see. I believe that's -2.5. Okay. Can't leave it like that. First of all, a negative divided by a negative is positive. You can't leave a decimal in the fraction. So what I'm going to do is multiply the top and bottom by 10. When I multiply the bottom by 10, it's just going to move the decimal place over. So I'll get 70 over 25. I just got rid of the negatives because negative divided by negative is positive. Divide both of those, reduce that, divide both of those by 5, and I believe that would be 14/5. Let's see if I got it. Yeah, that's fine. All right, 25. 25 is supposed to be done on graph paper. If you don't have it, it's fine. 25 through 28, the last 4. You just have to make up your own little graph. Try to be kind of neat. So I can tell what's going on, but all right. Okay, so we're supposed to draw our own line. It says the given point 3, 1, the line is supposed to cross through there. So I'm going to put a dot at 3, 1 right there, and then it tells me the slope is -1/4. So starting from this dot right here, I'm going to use this slope to find another point, actually another 2 points that are on the line. Okay, if the slope is negative, usually I just pretend the top is negative. Just put that negative up top. You could put it on the bottom. Okay, all these are the same thing. You cannot put it on both the top and the bottom because a negative over negative is actually a positive. So if it's -1/4, we're going to use one of these slopes. So this means the rise is -1, it's down 1, and the run is 4. So starting from this point, we already know that's on the line. I'm going to go down 1 and over 4. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. On these problems, I want you to make at least 3 points. We've got 2, so we need 1 more. So instead of going down 1 and over 4 again, it'll be off my graph. Basically, I'm going to use this slope and go up 1 and back 4. So that's what the negative would mean. So from here, I'm going to go up 1 and back 4. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do it right, all 3 of those points should be on the same line. Just draw little arrows because it means it goes forever in that direction. Alright, so that's what 25 should look like. Okay, 27. So same thing, we're going to start at 2, -5. That's a point we know is on the line. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the slope is 3 over 2. So that means both positive, go up 3 over 2. Or you could think of it as both of them being negative. Because if you want to go backwards, because the negative divided by negative is positive. So anyway, 3 over 2. So I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, run 2. Need another point, up 3 over 2. Alright. Okay, so try those evens and good luck.